911 Church Street, Fredonia, New York, on this September 29th, 2025 at 6 p.m. I call this meeting to order. I'm Mayor Michael Ferguson. We'll do roll call of the trustees. Trustee Wandel.
Here.
Trustee Syracuse.
Here.
Trustee Brockler.
Here.
Trustee Twitchell and Trustee Esperson are excused from tonight's meeting. With that, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have the members of the Fred Basket Food Pantry in front of us here? Board, you can either stand back there or come up here with us, whatever you want to do.
I brought the prop.
All right. Well, we have a little one full of crap.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Mr. Mayor? How you guys doing?
What, you guys want to hold the bag?
Yeah?
You want to hold the
There you
bag?
go.
Kind of heavy.
Good.
And you want to hold some props? No? Yes? Yep. You don't have to if you don't want to, that's okay.
Would you mind introducing your crew?
Well, I'll let everybody introduce themselves, starting with Elizabeth.
I'm Elizabeth English, and these are my friends Jacob and Rain.
Betsy White. Susan Peppy.
Joe Calarco.
Excellent. And Chip, would you mind taking the photo?
Yeah, why don't you come out over this way a little bit, Rain? There we go.
Ready? Smile. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
We have a proclamation, whereas the Fred Basket Food Pantry has diligently served the community of Fredonia, New York, providing essential food assistance to those in need in our community. And whereas hunger remains a challenge for many individuals and families within our community, especially during these challenging times. And whereas the Fred Basket Food Pantry's annual food drive is a vital initiative that mobilizes community support to collect non-perishable food items, ensuring that our neighbors have access to nutritious meals, and whereas the success of the food drive relies on the generosity and compassion of the residents and businesses and organizations of the Village of Fredonia and surrounding areas. And whereas community spirit and collective action are essential in addressing food insecurity and fostering a supportive environment for all. Now, therefore, I, Michael Ferguson, Mayor of the Village of Fredonia, those bags, yeah, they were moving on me too. Spilling all over the driveway.
She's got it.
Do hereby proclaim the period of October 12th through October 25th as Fred Basket Food Pantry Annual Drive Days in the Village of Fredonia and Rockland County. I urge all citizens to contribute generously to the worthy cause, demonstrating our unwavering commitment to supporting our neighbors and strengthening our community. In witness thereof, I appear to set my hand and the rest of it all. Congratulations. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, I'll just say thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. You didn't drop it. That's a big plus. All right. Thank you very much. Who gets this? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, good luck. Neighbors helping neighbors. We have another presentation with us tonight. As you know, there's been a lot of work done on Canada Way Creek, and there are a bunch of people here tonight that have put in a lot of time and effort to not only plan this, but get the funding for it, help us get the funding for that project. And we are proud and very happy to say that it's moving along quite nicely and quite quickly. So with that, I want to introduce Sandra Pikowski, the Grants Specialist for Chautauqua County Soil and Water Conservation District, along with Jim Joy, and they have a whole bunch of other people here with them as well, all vitally important to the success of this project and our waterways as well. So, Jim's going to start? Sounds good.
Well, I'd like to thank the mayor and trustees for this opportunity to come before you and talk about what's going on here on Canada Way Creek within the village. I'm Jim Joy. I serve as the vice chair of the Lake Erie Management Commission. I'll often refer to that tonight as the LEMC. The LEMC was established in 2011 by the Chautauqua County Legislature And the mission of the Lake Erie Management Commission is to identify, prioritize, and recommend projects for the protection and enhancement of water-related resources that promote a safe and healthy environment for all within the Chautauqua County watershed. The funding to do projects that we find that are doable and good comes from a 5% occupancy tax and grant funding that we also reach out for. 3/5 of this revenue is that's generated from the bed tax is used in many different ways. It's to increase tourism, conventions, trade shows, special events, and other directly related projects supporting activities, including businesses in the county. With 2% of the tax is utilized solely for the enhancement and protection of lakes and streams in Chautauqua County through 2 competitive grant programs. One is for inland projects, and the other is for watershed projects located within the watershed of Lake Erie, which is right where we are here with mainly Canada Creek. And the projects funded by both programs must demonstrate a clear evidence of how it will provide a benefit to the public. So with that, I'm going to hand this off to Cassie, who's got the PowerPoint over here. It's going to show what has been taking place on Canada Creek within the village. And Cassie, take her away.
Okay, so hopefully we can move fast through this. It is mostly pictures. So I'm with the Chautauqua County Soil and Water Conservation District. Soil and water conservation districts were established in the 1930s. And what we do is we have the technical ability and enabling legislation to help water quality concerns. We originally started mostly with agricultural focus, but we do a lot with streams and water quality beyond the ag sector now. And one of the big things about districts is that we have flexibility in whom we can work with. Unlike governmental agencies, we can work off right-of-way on private property. These projects were on municipal property, but we have to follow general municipal law, so we kind of work the same way as units of government. One of the other partners in this project, Jim mentioned the Lake Erie Management Commission. There's a lot of Lake Erie groups. So the Lake Erie Watershed Protection Alliance is an entity that's made up of the 3 counties that have Lake Erie watershed in New York State, so Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, and Erie counties. We have local representation, and we get funding through New York State Environmental Protection Fund since 2015. So that money comes to the counties to spend on different projects. So I tried to find a slide that could kind of demonstrate why we focused on this from a Jim mentioned the aspect of access and the resource of the creek and fishing. But when we try to get grant funding, it usually is to address other issues, water quality issues, erosion issues. And one of the things as the stream comes through the village itself is it narrows. So this was the best slide I could find that shows when the stream is the narrowest, you see the biggest arrow. When it widens, you have 2 smaller arrows. When it goes under a narrow bridge, the arrow gets bigger. Even if there's erosion, I had a laser pointer, this would help, but it doesn't work on a TV. But if it narrows from erosion, it speeds up there. So that was kind of one of the thoughts. And the other thing is, as we develop flooding, as we have more intense rainfall, flooding is an issue. When you have narrow channel streams, it will leave its banks. So when we started this project, we looked at Water Street and the fire hall being the 2 main locations. We went back and looked, this is mostly focused on Water Street because we finished that project first, but so I went back to the old aerials, and so this is 1938 aerials. You can see there was development to the south of the stream. That's Water Street, and then the stream coming to the left. 56, same thing, there's development there. 85 has my best chance of seeing something if I blow it up. You guys who are familiar with Fredonia, I was not alive in 1985, but probably remember what this was. But you can see the building right around the creek. Yeah. So you can see that the development is right up to the bank of the creek, and we know the opposite side is the concrete vertical retaining wall. So it's really narrowing right at that Water Street location. But over time, so 94 doesn't have really good pictures, but Google Earth can show you more recent times. But 94, it was still that some kind of industry or private. And then 2004 is when we see the parking lot goes in. So a lot of that structures were removed. It looks like grass, but it's still at that same point of encroachment narrowing between that vertical wall. And so if I had my laser pointer. So upstream of Water Street, you can see how wide the stream is, and then as it comes by Darwin's, you can see how narrow it gets. And when it's getting narrow there, it's speeding up. And that can cause erosion at that site and also downstream when it gets wide again. So I have these blue arrows on here. Oh, maybe. There you go. This my arrows I try to line up with the center pile of the bridge, so give you some reference. But you can see, typically with streams on that outside bend, so it would be the top of the stream there, that's where you would have, because it's a curve, that's where most of your force of your water would be. What's strange here is that there is where we see gravel depositing, which indicates it's the slowest point of water. So we all know that the bridge is probably causing issues, but over time you can see this gravel bar growing and choking off that whole side. So 2016, I mean, that to me looks like it's probably pretty tall as well. But you can see how now the stream is even restricted more to just that one side of the bridge, except in high flow events. But in 2019, you see the gravel bar shift to the opposite side. So that could be something just like a debris jam, but in 3 years it got pretty big. You can see better in this picture. So this is 2022, oops. So you can see how that gravel bar shifted, and it's quite dynamic there. But now the stream is kind of running along that outside curve like you would expect. So that just goes back to that to show the narrowing. So in Water Street project, on the left is the pictures I took before we started the project, and the right is after the main construction. So you can see the trees that run along, that's lined up with the center pile of the bridge. They're sycamore trees. Sycamores grow fast, but they're still pretty tall, so they've been there for a while. The other problem with this too is you can see the debris starting to build up at the base of the trees. So what that's doing is, in a small storm event, it's making kind of like a wall, so it's keeping that water on that one side. So by removing those trees and removing some of the top layers of gravel, you can open up when the stream does need to rise in a storm. It can use that whole width of that stream. The thing with the gravel, people probably see the gravel. With DC regulations, you can only remove gravel to ordinary high water, so you can't take all the gravel out. That's gravel mining, and it'll cause issues upstream. So that's why that gravel's still in there, even though theoretically you'd be like, why don't you take it out? We still have to work with that. So some of the gravel was removed, but a lot of that will migrate and move just with the normal storm, if it ever rains again, storm flows. So this is another before and after picture. You can see that debris right in the center of the stream and the plants growing up, and then you can see how that's really widened. And all that is, this isn't the best angle, but you can see in this picture too, in the after picture, how that bank is now sloped back. That also will increase the capacity in the stream. So this is before and after too. This one you can see better. Well, there's vegetation, so you can't see the vertical bank. But we really put the rock at the toe and then sloped it back to get some more capacity through that channel. And so this is before it's all knotweed, which is our biggest pain. But we've had some experience working with it in Dunkirk. But you can see before you really couldn't see the creek at all. You probably could see it better from the parking lots on the other side of the retaining walls. But from the Water Street, that area, you really couldn't see the stream. So once we remove the vegetation, I think a lot more people can appreciate and see the stream now. And when we come back and plant, we're gonna focus more on low-growing shrubs or low-growing stuff just to maintain that visual and access to the stream. The only thing I wanted to point out is in that after photo in the bottom right-hand corner, I thought that was sumac, which is native, but not really, people don't like sumac. I thought that was sumac growing back, but it come to find out it's tree of heaven. And I don't know if you guys know about tree of heaven. I know Jim knows about tree of heaven. It's a host plant for the spotted lanternfly. And once we started looking around, there's a lot of tree of heaven along the stream. So that'll be a new challenge. Actually, the big tree you can see in the back, the tallest tree there, that's a giant tree of heaven. And we went over there and looked at it, and taking that down would not be cheap. So that will be a future project, is looking at tree of heaven. It's something that the city of Jamestown did, is try to eradicate it was all along the Chattacoin, so. So before you can see the wall of knotweed, which typically the maintenance on that is people just mow it. Mowing it spreads it and makes it more aggressive, so not the best. So we took that out. We'll follow up and manage the knotweed. This was just after they hydroseeded, so not much had vegetated at the time I took that picture. But you can see from the parking lot, you can really see the stream again.
And Cassie, just so
people know besides you reseeding that area, we're hoping to get picnic tables because there is you put in stairs there where fishermen can go
Yep.
down. So we want to put in some, it also connects to the parking lot. So we thought some nice, kind of the rubberized, multi-seat picnic tables there would go well.
Anchor.
Yep.
And there are
Exactly.
the like single bench that's there, I think still, there are, Dave said when he was doing the project, there's people that sit at it and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even the one thing that's there. So this is after they did just the rock at the very bottom, when I was out there to take this picture. But I wanted to show is when you look at the stream in this picture, the water is very flat. It's a shale bed stream. Some of the other places in the county might have more gravel, but on Lake Erie we have shale. But that black shale will heat up the water. It's shallower because it's wide, so it's not really the best habitat quality for fish. So there's other things we can add. So this just shows you kind of a better picture. But I was out before we started this project or asked for funding. I was out with the DC fisheries biologist, and we were trying to find different areas where because shale you can't really, it kind of is what it is, and it erodes at a slower rate. But we tried to find areas where there was already depressions in the shale. Because one of the practices that we've done in other places, and it's been successful, is put in rock riffles. This is the best graphic I could show instead of giving you like my hand drawing. But it kind of shows that you put in a constructed riffle, and then after it there's a pool. And so at that pool you'll have the water cascading over the rocks, which will provide oxygen. But that pool is more of a habitat for fish or aquatic life in general, that whole structure, than having that straight run of just shale nothingness. So when we looked at the site, like I said, we found 2 locations. So this is the downstream one, is the one I have pictures of. On the left, it was before, and the right, it's after. So we had to get the rock we got from the quarry, because it's a shale bottom, it had to be a certain height because we couldn't bury it in gravel like we would do other places in the county. So what that does is that rock goes all the way across the stream in a high flow event. It's going to channel the velocity to the center. That's how you can kind of see that only the middle's underwater right now. But also, too, it's going to add oxygen and just structure in that stretch of stream that wasn't there before. And I think the stairs that we kind of put into the rock are on either side of this one, so it could have the potential of being like a pool for fishing. The other pool is downstream right there. So with the shale stream bed, the other consideration you have to have is when you have a smooth rock on a smooth shale surface, there's a slip factor that can happen. That's something that they ran into on Chautauqua Creek in the past. So what we have is a pinning rig that comes out of, I think, like Angola. But so they'll pin 1.5 inch steel rods. He'll drill a hole down, and then they'll put those rods into the rock, so that kind of holds the rock to the shale, and it prevents that like movement, especially in those structures that go across the stream channel. And the toe of the slope are the 2 areas where we really make sure to pin them. So this is not the best angle. I have a better picture at the fire hall, but these are the 2 areas where you can kind of see that the rocks come to the top above where the rest of the stabilization are. And so they try to put the rocks, they try to find rocks that weren't too thick to make kind of like a stairway down for people to get in and out of the stream. So the fire hall, so the second component that we've been working on that probably people haven't seen as much, because I don't know how many people go behind the fire hall, but is over at the fire hall. There was a lot of debris, and if I had my pointer, this would be easier. So all it takes is one tree. I have a couple of these pictures, because all it takes is one tree kind of getting stuck in the middle of the stream to cause a lot of damage. And if no one's looking at it, you don't really even know how much of a problem it is. But when you look at this tree here, to the right you see a gravel bar forming. And that's because that tree is redirecting the water to either side, so to either bank, and then the slack water's in the middle, which is why your gravel's depositing. And so this is the end of the gravel bar. So then you can see how that's causing that bank to erode. And right at the top is where the existing driveway and then concrete for behind the fire hall is. And this is the other side, but you can see how that gravel bar is pushing all that water. That probably was a straight stream bank that's now kind of cutting in. So what we did is first, this actually, I left this out of the other one, but both sites, evidently had some past use of either mills or mill races or something, because the amount of concrete that was hidden in there and the thickness of it and the age of it was quite a challenge for them to remove. But we talked about kind of working with where the concrete was and working kind of what we could do. But at the end of the day, one of the big points is really widening the streams and pulling the stream bank back at an angle. And to do that, we had to remove the concrete because it would have just kept it confined. So we spent a lot of extra money chiseling out concrete from both sides.
Wasn't that part of where the grain mill was at one point?
Over by the fire hall?
Yeah.
I didn't look at the aerials for here, but yeah, so we took out the trees that were kind of in the concrete, and we widened the stream there as well. So this is from the top. You can't tell the vertical height from these photos, but so we kind of looks more like a normal stream now. We got the big woody debris out. This one looks better because they put, I don't know why they put the or the smaller grade rock there, but you can kind of see the stairs there more obviously. So they did a set of these kind of at the end of the driveway. And then we had them, so the stairs would be to the right of where this is. And then we had them, when he paved the rock, we brought them to the bank at this location because we thought if there was any debris that came down in the future, we made a stable access point. So it isn't like you're going through the project, and there'll be no plantings there either, just for an access point into the stream. So for next steps, the fire hall stabilization, that's the main construction point of that is wrapped up. In the spring, we'll come back and do plantings at both sites. I don't really like to do a fall planting. I think there's a better chance in the spring. And then in the summer of next year, the third project for where we got funding from is a engineered rock riffle for fish passage at the Risley Street Falls. It was brought to our attention that that's kind of eroding to the point where it's getting too high for fish to as easily get above it. It's really dependent on storms and everything working out perfectly. But we had those structures installed at multiple points on Chautauqua Creek that have been successful, so we're looking to put something similar. Oops. And
Cassie, is there still a potential plan for the fishing dock behind the fire hall?
I think
Or pier,
that,
I'm sorry.
I think that that doesn't have the habitat that I think would be best. We met, me and Jim met with Supervisor Pegas at the town of Pomfret, and how where that's located and kind of the access point, that might be a better.
See, there you go, Pomfret trying to steal our fish.
But, yeah, so trying to think about, yeah, because that's closer to the stream and there's a pool there, something that might be a better location. But, so in terms of this project, we try to build off of grant funding. So we started with the village and the fire hall and secured $50,000 in a Chautauqua County 2% bed tax grant.
Yep.
And we also had U.S. Fish and Wildlife approach us about some extra money they had if we had projects that could go in the next 2 years. And we said, of course, we'll find something if we don't. But this was a good one. So we got $94,000. So that's federal funding. It's a Great Lakes Restoration Initiative grant. So with that, $144,000, we took it and submitted, because it was local and federal funding, we submitted it for state funding as our match. So we secured another $573 and change there in a state grant to do, and a lot of that will be the other stuff, the plantings, the cost overruns with the concrete, and then doing the rock riffle downstream just to make sure we can do that effectively. So all in total, we have about $717,000. And so the way that working with the district, so the district secures these grants. We bid out our contractor, all that same stuff, but we also will cash flow the projects. So it kind of makes it easier with municipalities for us to just like come in there and do it. And we do it in portions to try to work through that. So, but. And I saw a blue heron out there the one day I was, so I was all.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question. A couple of the objectives here is to, I think, stabilize the stream banks, right, one, and then to enhance the fish habitat, right?
Yep.
Do you plan to carry that all the way down to the mouth of the creek to the lake?
But that's only if we find people to do that. That's why we met out at the town of Pomfret's new town hall is right on the creek, so that's another potential location. We started this by looking mostly at what do the properties that are municipally owned. So in the Village of Fredonia, there are some upstream. This site, kind of seeing like where we can work when we already have village support. We work with private landowners. So on Candaway Creek here, like just upstream of Liberty Bridge, there's a rock roughly, you can see it from the Liberty Street Bridge. But we did that, and Stream Banks, we did that with Fish and Wildlife before with a private landowner. So a lot of the times we kind of work in the background. But a lot of the stream downstream of the village is more gravel and shale mix. So the habitat is a little bit better there. Where the fish are trying to get to is usually past the village back to more gravel. You're just like in a stretch of just shale. And some of that might be because of the velocities coming through and the narrowing. So a lot of it will just be monitoring and seeing if there's other stuff we can do in the future for more habitat. Mother Nature kind of does what she wants. And we'll be following up to for the next couple of years as well with plantings and managing knotweed sort of thing. I think it's about a 3-year grant for the state grant. So
The lanternfly, how much of a threat is that, do you see?
pretty big threat, Jim?
They feed on grapes as well as the tree of heaven that Cassie was talking about. So it's a very big concern. If they move into the area, how we're going to have to handle that.
Yeah, and they're like a nuisance species a lot of where they are. But the tree of heaven is their host plant, so that's the one plant where they lay their egg masses on.
Okay.
I'm not super intimate with the lanternfly life cycle, but I know from working with the city of Jamestown that that was one of the reasons they really wanted to eradicate it. The thing with tree of heaven, if you cut it, it'll just send up a bunch of babies. So like going in there and just cutting it all, not good.
Jeez.
The other thing too is if you just herbicide apply to it without having a cutting cycle or idea, they're very fragile. So once they die, and if they blow down, they like shatter the wood type that they are. So it's not easy. That's why we started looking at it. And we went upstream to the landowner upstream of the Water Street project. And we're like, oh my gosh, there's so much tree of heaven, which is kind of what City of Jamestown ran into.
We're real thankful that we have people that know what they're talking about. So, and we're also thankful to, if we can have the folks from Lake Erie Management who are with us stand up, please, so that everybody can see you here tonight. I know we've got Dave, and we've got Z, and we've got Jim here. Yeah, there you go. And these are the folks that have been maintaining our waterways, and God bless you, because it's a lot of work. And I will say, based on the discussions I've had with them, we've applied with the DEC to make our portion of Canadaway Creek a catch and release. After speaking with Alberto Ray, who's a world-class fisherman as well as a wonderful artist, he has stated that catch and release is what brings the most fishermen without totally taking all of the fish out. And professionals can come in and really empty that creek. And so I also want to thank Dave McCoy back there for, he keeps me on the straight and narrow with regards to making sure things are getting in there and everything, so I appreciate it. So thank you to all of you, and we greatly appreciate this. It's been a long time coming. And if you just get a chance to walk down by the creek, you're going to see a tremendous, tremendous difference. And all of that you did also helps on maintaining that creek from flooding. So we greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And all that gravel that Casey was talking about probably got deposited at Madison Street Bridge. And that's where you used to have the gravel pit.
Yeah.
And what family used to,
Pegasus Construction owns that.
yes. And they used,
Construction project.
and they used to take gravel out of there on a yearly basis, but the DEC stopped them from doing it, right?
Yeah.
So- And
Dan, good.
I also want to say that I belong to, I'm a member of the New York State Fish and Wildlife Board, both the Region 9 section of it and the state board. And that is the mission statement of the Fish and Wildlife Board is access. So we're going to have our quarterly meeting coming up in October, and this is a prime example of access to a stream in New York State that will be well publicized. So,
Excellent.
okay.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Pages, did you have any questions or at this point? Good deal. I will tell the public too that when we met with the DEC, we identified about 6 potential fishing areas along the way. So some of them have not been developed, but there's opportunity there. And I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I'm good at it. Approximately how many sports people do you see coming here to fish on a regular basis? Not just Fredonia, but Chautauqua County in general.
It's
Hard to predict that, but once the word gets out that there's access,
Yeah.
they will come.
Okay.
If you drive around during the time the fish are running and look at license plates from all around different states, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania,
Vermont, Maine.
they
Yeah.
come from miles around, and I've talked to people in Florida that know about Canada Way Creek that will tell me, well, you know, you can't get into the creek. Well, that story is old now.
There you
Now
go.
there's access. And I'd like to thank the village trustees and the mayor here for working with us, because this is, where these 3 projects are taking place, Water Street, the Fire Hall, and Rizzo Street, is actually village-owned land. It goes way back in history to the fact that it was where the old mills used to be. That's why Cassie was mentioning digging up this old cement, which is the old foundations of the mill races. So it's just a great opportunity to have the village being acceptable to working with us. And as we mentioned earlier, Cassie did about private landowners. It would be nice for some of them, and some have come out and said that now that this is happening, they would join in on this. So as you mentioned about more sites coming, that's very possible.
Super. Well, thank you very much to all of you. We greatly appreciate it. And we look forward to working with you for many years on this. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of this exciting meeting, or whatever you would like to do. It's totally up to you.
I'm ready.
There you go. Can I have
Somebody jump out the window.
can I have approval of minutes, please?
Whereas members of this board have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of September 2nd, 2025, and be it resolved that the board hereby approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Second.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Thank you.
Whereas members of this board have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees special meeting of September 10th, 2025, and be it resolved that the board hereby approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell? So we voted twice on it, and it makes it that much better. Thank you. This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand at the microphone, state their name. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes speaking for themselves, 5 minutes of speaking on behalf of a legitimate group. I ask that the speakers refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board. And the first person we have is can't read the name. I think he left. Z? Rosemary Ello? I think they were with the fishing group. No. Andrew Ludwig.
I'm going to ask for 5 minutes on behalf of Soar, please.
What group?
Soar? Save Our Reservoir.
Okay.
So I'm sure you missed me. I haven't been at a couple of board meetings, but I have been following what's going on at these meetings in the Observer. And I read in the Observer recently that this board approved a 5-year contract with the Pomfret, Portland, Dunkirk Sewer District at half the village rate. And I guess I'm wondering, and it's a rhetorical question because I know you're not going to answer it, but why are village residents paying more to use their own wastewater treatment facilities than people who live outside the village? I want to remind you trustees that you represent the Village of Fredonia, not the town of Pomfret, not the town of Portland, and not the town of Dunkirk. Now, in the article in the Observer, it said that Trustee Esperson pointed out that the agreed-upon contract has the same terms and conditions as a contract that was approved 5 years ago by a previous administration, as if that's some kind of justification for selling out to village taxpayers. We didn't maintain the same water rates and the same tax rates that we did 5 years ago. In the last 5 years, water rates and tax rates have increased for village residents, and your fiscal mismanagement's resulted in a 56% village tax increase. So how is it that you can impose these increases on the people you're supposed to represent, but not pass on any increase in costs to the Pomfret, Portland, Dunkirk Sewer District? At a time when this administration is hurting for money and claims to be looking for revenue sources, you're undercharging the PPD for the use of the village's wastewater treatment plant. And I don't understand why. I also read in the Observer the county's explanation for the most recent boil water order in the village. Not surprisingly, one of the health department officials quoted in the article cast some blame for the boil order on the village's water treatment plant, but she was also quoted as saying, "The truth is we can't say for sure what the problem was." So why blame the water treatment plant if you don't know for sure what the problem was? Maybe because that goes along with their narrative of decommissioning the water treatment plant and buying water from the North County Water District. In the Observer article, the health department officials gave themselves a pat on the back for working through the boil order over the weekend, stating that we do not normally work on weekends, but this was a public health emergency, so we were glad to help. But didn't the county tell you in their lecture letter that boil orders are not water emergencies? Or are boil orders only water emergencies if the county health department is somehow culpable? Now, these are the same individuals that spoke at the September 10th special meeting on your water decision, and they lauded your well-thought-out plan. And that was even after the former village attorney and a score of other concerned citizens pointed out all of the contractual, financial, and logistical flaws with your proposal. But we're supposed to listen to them and believe them. And what about the possible use of the existing inoperable interconnects between the village of Dunkirk and the North County Water District during boil orders? Has anyone looked into getting those pumps and interconnects in operation for use during the next water emergency? I'm sure that these interconnects and pumps will somehow be put into operation as you move forward with your foolhardy plan to decommission the reservoir and buy from the North County Water District, because you're going to need alternate sources of water. Now, why those can't be used now, but as you move forward with your project, somehow they're going to magically become operable, I don't know. At the September 10th meeting, one of the health department officials stated that the county's only interest in Fredonia water was in providing safe, clean, and reliable drinking water to village residents and water customers. She must have meant except in the case of a boil water order, and only if the North County Water District profits from the sale of water to Fredonia by stealing the village's water customers at the great expense of Fredonia residents.
Sam Drio.
Thank you, Mayor, Board. There's a resolution on the agenda tonight to award a $384,000 contract for a chlorine replacement system. Generally, contracts in excess of $35,000 are subject to competitive bidding after advertisement. Now, there are exceptions, but I mentioned this to you, Paul, in an email. I would check with the attorney and see if that contract is subject to competitive bidding by advertisement. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule.
We did get 3 bids.
Pardon?
We did get 3 bids.
That's not competitive bidding. Competitive bidding is advertising in the newspaper and asking for bids to be reviewed by the board. Publicly advertised, not privately. So I would double check that with the attorneys. So back to my concerns. This doesn't have anything to do with the pros and cons of the reservoir versus going to the district system. But there was, as we know, 54% tax increase for village taxpayers, which created a hardship for many people. And I'm asking the board to consider what was done in the last 4 months since this budget was adopted to address the issue of the financial problems that we have. One, I have not seen any public meeting to review the financial status of the village and to implement a plan to reduce the tax rate. The village board has not declared an austerity budget or implemented budgetary controls by board resolution to reduce spending. It has not declared a hiring freeze. It has hired 2 replacements for full-time employees, one in the police and one in the fire. These employees will likely cost at least $200,000 when you consider fringe benefits, such as health insurance and state retirement premiums. These full-time replacements should have been put on hold and overtime given, if necessary, and reconsidered next year because of this financial situation. The board approved a contract with the police department without informing the public as to the financial impact on the budget and whether any management rights in the contract were compromised, such as layoff in times of financial crisis. It has approved a new retirement plan for police and fire, granting certain benefits under the New York State retirement law, which is a good retirement plan, a deluxe type one, that will cost the taxpayers additional money to be paid. I asked the board at a meeting how much this extra new plan will cost the village, and I didn't receive an answer. The street department has oiled and stoned 8 streets without prior board approval, at least none that I observed. Oil and stoning is a significant village expense. Couldn't have this waited till next year till we took a look at the budget? The board has authorized the payment of $15,000 to Labella Engineers for a study that was authorized by the county water district. The study was not approved by the village, yet the village paid the bill. The village board has agreed to buy water from the North County Water District. Mayor, may I have a minute to conclude?
1 more minute, Sam. Just
not
1 more minute,
people
please.
here. The board has approved an agreement with Pomfret for joint ownership of a water and storage facility, which has inherent problems. The village has authorized the signing of a renewal with the Pomfret-Portland Sewer District, which grants a 50% reduction from the rate charged to the village residents. Such a discount to outside users of village services is unheard of. The quarterly charge the PP district billed last month was $20,000. It should have been $40,000 if the rate was the same rate used by applied to village users. The village lost over $20,000 in revenues in 1 quarter. Assuming the same flows from the district to the wastewater treatment plant, the village will lose $81,000 in 1 year by charging 50% less than village residents. How does that help our village taxpayers? Trustee Esperson justified this discount by stating that Jim Sedota negotiated the contract. Jim is unfortunately not here to defend himself from Trustee Esperson's allegations. I knew Jim Sedota very well and his thinkings on such matters. He consistently, over 30 years, I worked with him, always took the position that outside users of village service should be charged a reasonable premium for the village, above the village rate. Mr. Sedota would never have negotiated a contract for outside service at a rate less than charged village residents.
Sam, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. And 1, time is up, and 2, we have a signed contract with everybody's name on it. The contract's available downstairs, and everybody's been told that.
Okay.
So it was negotiated at this rate with Mr.
Have you
Sedota.
already signed the one that you approved at the last meeting? Has that been signed?
No.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm referring to.
But your time's up,
Well,
please.
let me allow me to finish this. I've only got a minute. It's important.
Okay.
There's nobody else waiting to
Well, we
talk
have
to
a
the
whole
board.
agenda that we have awaiting, Sam, so.
Well, let me just give me a minute, please. It was totally inappropriate for Trustee Esperson to invoke the name of Mr. Sedota, who recently died, to justify approving a poor contract by the village board with the PPD district. The village board approved the contract, not Mr. Sedota. Mr. Sedota had nothing to do with approving the contract. It's the village board that has the responsibility and authority to approve village contracts, not the clerk, not Mr. Sedota, not the mayor, or anyone else. Trustee Esperson's remarks that the village is not reinventing the wheel, but merely doing the same as exists for the past 5 years, does not justify the continuance of a bad contract. The contract needs to be corrected in a manner that treats village residents fairly, as well as the district, and for the village to receive needed income, which is badly needed to help keep taxes down and pay for the cost of the wastewater treatment plant. Thank you.
Correspondence.
Correspondence dated September 4th, 2025 was received from Fire Chief Joshua Myers requesting Joshua Fritz be removed from the active role of the volunteer fire department.
Be it resolved that the name Joshua Fritz be removed from the active role of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell? I'm sorry. Trustee Wandell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Thank you.
Correspondence dated September 23rd, 2025 was received from Adam Aarons, Assistant Chief of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department, resigning his position effective immediately. Be it resolved that Adam Aarons' resignation as Assistant Chief of Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., effective immediately, is approved.
Second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Correspondence dated September 22nd, 2025 was received from Heidi and Kelly Powell, Festival Fredonia co-chairs, requesting to hold the Harvest Moon Cemetery Tour and Festival Friday, October 17th and Saturday, October 18th.
Be it resolved that the request of Festivals Fredonia to hold the Harvest Moon Festival and Tours on Friday, October 17th and Saturday, October 18th, 2025, from 6 p.m. to midnight in Barker Commons East and West is hereby approved, along with the following. 1, use of the parking spaces in front of the White Inn between White Street and the Main Street entrance to the White Inn from 6 p.m. to midnight for the tour's CHQ transit trolleys, both evenings. 2, placement of the lighted traffic sign opposite of Cushing Street leading up to the event to alert residents about the trolleys and traffic during that weekend.
Second.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Before we go to my report, we want to thank Heidi and Kelly Powell and Festivals Fredonia for carrying on the Harvest Moon Cemetery Tour. Once again, they had followed the direction we would like to take people to take on events. We're going to ask that you give us at least a 30-day written notice of requests. Those forms will be on beginning probably next week once we have time to get them up there. So you can download it and print it out and make all the requests that you have to get, but please make sure that they're here at least 30 days before your event so that we have the proper chance to review it, get it through the fire department, the police department, streets department, so that we can make sure that you have a great festival or event. Taking a look at Mayor's report, a reminder that this year's Trunk or Treat will be held on Saturday, October 25th, 2025 in Russell Joy Park. You can go to our website for more information on how to set up a tent, etc. Once again, for the public safety. With recent incidents throughout the country and overseas, I have significant safety issues with regards to a costume parade in the village. Trunk or Treat has become the premier event for the Halloween holiday, and we encourage all children and grown-ups to dress up, join us, and celebrate the safety-forward event. So once again, there will not be, right now, the board will be considering whether the only parade that we really have in town would be the Farm Festival, just because of the nature. I want to explain the reason why we rerouted the high school homecoming parade. You have people coming down the hill and walking in Main Street up the hill. There's no lines right now. There's really no direction. And with regards to someone having a medical emergency, maybe being intoxicated or being angry about something, it would have been very easy for somebody to swerve their car or truck, whether intentionally or accidentally, and have a horrendous event on our hands. I want to thank the school. I want to thank the homecoming committee. They moved the event to Wheelock, and we expect that to hopefully be the tradition here on out. It's sad that you can't have events like this as much as communities have had it in the past. And while we haven't had a major incident in this community, it is our job to make sure that it never happens. So we hope that you understand. Last week, I discussed with the police chief a request to create a school speed zone on Chestnut Street in front of Wheelock School. The zone would extend past the school to ensure safe transition for those crossing the streets. Police will monitor the area for speeders as well. We expect the zone to be in place relatively quickly. I'll be attending the annual Chautauqua Chamber of Commerce Awards Banquet this week at the Williams Center on the Fredonia University campus, support of Steve St. George and Evans Jones and their crew for the upcoming Hospitality Business of the Year Award for their outstanding work with the historic White Inn. We are currently seeking sponsors for New Year's Eve celebration in downtown Fredonia. For those interested, may contact me through my email, mayor@villageoffredoniany.gov. I would also like to welcome the newest business in our downtown core. Springline Doors and Windows have opened their second location at 112 West Main Street in the Village. Their original location is located in Springville, New York, and we welcome you to the community. Work continues on Route 20. We are pleased to see that they have started at the top of the hill, just beyond the top of the hill, and are working their way down. One lane was already poured yesterday or today, and that will continue, and they'll be working their way past Water Street towards the roundabout. So watch for crosswalk, folks. As some people in this room can tell you personally, people don't like to stop when you're at a crosswalk. It is the law again, and I will continue to reiterate that. When someone is standing what is now at the proper place or the bump outs at the roundabout, it's the law that you stop and allow them to pass, no matter whether it's construction or not. On Friday, September 26th, I had the pleasure of meeting with Dr. Wright of the Fredonia School District to discuss possible expenditures for the various title monies afforded to our first-class school system. We also discussed upcoming project and future projects may benefit both the school system and the village. I thank her for the opportunity to meet with her. Also on Friday, I attended the introduction of the new ACE program for students at Fredonia State in the Pucci Room at the Williams Center. I also had the chance to hear from several students who have benefited from the program. Many stated that without the ACE program, they would not be able to afford to attend college this year. I thank Dr. Stephen Collison and his team for bringing the program to the community. Friday also highlighted the revised Fredonia Homecoming Parade, as we mentioned. On Thursday morning, I joined newsman Greg Larson for my monthly Viewpoint interview. I want to thank WDOE for continuing this tradition. And also Thursday, we held two meetings, separate meetings with New York Department of State to discuss funding opportunities for various projects the village has on the table, including but not limited to possible consolidation and or shared services opportunities with our neighbors in Dunkirk, Pomfret, and the towns of Dunkirk. I met with several directors of the state as well at a second meeting at the state presentation in Lakewood, New York that afternoon to listen and discuss opportunities for our village and the surrounding area with Ben Bedell, revitalization specialist with the Department of State on possible revitalization opportunities for the village. On Wednesday, we held our trustee workshop, and I continued possible consolidation initial discussions with Town of Pomfret Supervisor Dan Pecos, so we can bring those ideas to the board. And on Tuesday, interviewed by WBEN, channels 2, 4, and 7 in Buffalo, 12 in the area about results and reasons behind our latest boil water, as well as the past 7 orders that have taken place over the last 3 years. And that is my report. Trustee committee's reports. Trustee Syracuse.
Nothing to report tonight.
Trustee Brockler.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Wandel.
September 16th, met with Labella Engineering, Chautauqua County Department of Health, New York State Department of Health, Mayor Ferguson, Trustee Esperson, Water Supervisor Louis Fred. Subject matter was new water treatment plant chlorination system, which is just beginning to launch. Hopefully construction will begin very soon. We're just ironing out final details, and I've got a note here to remind the public why we're doing this and the need for this project. Really, it's all about purifying our water in a robust manner that is reliable and much improved from what we currently have.
Pardon my interjection, but Natalie Whiteman said they didn't want to spend the money.
It's not the time. Thank you.
I know, but it's an article.
September.
Did that come up in your meeting?
Yes, it did. In fact, they were there. So thank
Maybe you
you.
can speak
Go
to
ahead,
that
Paul.
then.
Excuse me?
Maybe you can speak to that. What did Ms. Whiteman say about?
Paul, we're not answering questions. Just report your name.
It's in the paper.
September 19th, I met with residents Rich Ketchum, Trustee Esperson, Mr. Hamlin. We discussed the new Alternative 2 project direction regarding details. The reason for that meeting was listening to residents, listening to their ideas. Mr. Scott, we had a meeting with you. I'm not referring to that right now, but we're open to hearing with our residents what's going on, and we want your feedback, and we value it. And we also did that today, as a matter of fact, September 29th. And then just going back to September 5th, I'm on the College Board Committee. So I met with Dean Carafa at the college, and we discussed opportunities to keep that bridge building between the college and the Fredonia Village community. And that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Scott, I want to thank you I've been here on this for just a little over a year and a half, And prior to me being elected, I've also seen you at different meetings that we've had for the public. I want to thank you for your mature, knowledgeable. We may not always agree on everything, but you always have factual input, and I welcome that from all our citizens, and I want to thank you for the time and effort that you put forward. Treasurer's report.
Nothing there.
Any additional reports at this time?
Yes. August 2025 Fire Department report. The Fredonia Fire Department responded to 162 calls for service during the month of August 2025. Of the above noted 162 calls during this reporting month, emergency medical response contributed to 108 of them. Cost recovery for the month of August 2025 is as follows: $43,013.60 received through EMS billing, $7,254.71 assigned to our collection agency for EMS billing. Code enforcement month-end report, August 2025. Building permits issued 35, inspections 70, certificate of occupancy 12, certificate of compliance 30, violations 2, violations satisfied 1. Fees collected, building permit $15,324.04, rental fees $965, certificate of compliances $1,140, plumbing license fees $300, hearings, water and sewer fees $201.55 for total fees of $17,930.59. Rental inspections 20, renewals 25, property maintenance found 9, removed 6, junk cars and parts found 1, removed 0. Annual fire inspections 14, fire notifications 1, complaints 3, satisfied 2. 35 permits generated for $15,324.04 in revenue. The estimated cost of work for the month of August was $4,843,435. The Fredonia Police Department report for the month of August 2025. Total incidents reported 755. Accidents 13, arrests reported 10, vehicle and traffic incidents 61, domestic incidents 24, parking tickets 13. That's it.
I want to remind people, too, when you talk about staffing needs, many of the staffing needs that, not needs, but demands that are placed upon the village are based on contracts. Contractual obligations that the village cannot simply say, we're going to void that contract and move forward. As you know, that can lead to other issues. 755 incidents, not including the accidents and such, for a understaffed police department is difficult. We did a hiring freeze, but we also put the notice there that it would be 1 for 1, 1 in, 1 out. We are mandated to do that. That is not the decisions of the board. It is not the decisions of the office personnel. It is mandated by the contract that was negotiated with this village and the various unions that we deal with. I also want to clear up something that has really been blown out of proportion. I want to thank the volunteers of the fire department for their contributions to a shower that is being put into the fire department, much needed shower, that there was a conversion of a bathroom to a shower. The entire incident, which is not even an incident, it was a mistake where somebody didn't get all the paperwork permitted for it. It was a harmless situation, and anybody doing anything. The police put the evidence room in the building. They went through these steps. So it was a step that was missed. It's nothing more than that. The volunteers have donated that money. It doesn't cost this village a penny, any more than the memorial that is in front of the fire hall, which I highly recommend you stop by and take a look at it. It talks about the history of this fire department, both volunteer and professional, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place where we had a 9/11 ceremony there earlier in the year. So I hope that clears things up. And again, always easy to ask questions. That's what we're here for during regular business hours. Thank you. Resolutions.
Be it resolved that the regular and overtime payrolls of the various village departments and bills approved by the Finance Committee and set forth in abstracts number 775 through, or 775 through 778 are hereby approved and directed, paid, and available in the village clerk's office, 9 to 11 Church Street, Fredonia, New York.
Second.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Whereas the agreement with the Pomfret Water District requires village approval for all new water services, and whereas the town of Pomfret has received the application of a residential water within North End Phase 1 Water District service at 5042 West Main Road, owned by Nicholas D'Angelo, and whereas the Pomfret Town Board had this on their agenda to approve the application at the town board meeting September 10, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Fredonia hereby approves the residential water service connection at 5042 West Main Road, Fredonia, New York.
Second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Before we go to the next one, and it is my fault for not clarifying too, I want to thank our code enforcement and zoning department. They were doing their job as well. So with regards to the restroom / bathroom in the fire department. So once again, everybody just doing their job, everybody following rules and regulations. Thank you. Continue.
Be it resolved that Angela McCowiak of Fredonia, New York, 14063, is hereby appointed to part-time recreation director with the Village of Fredonia, effective immediately for a salary of $2,000 for the remainder of this fiscal year.
Second.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
And once again, this is replacing a person who has departed from that position.
Be it resolved that pursuant to Section 5520 of Village Law, the following budget transfers are hereby approved. $384,300 from F8008029 Water Fund balance to H8330.2 Purification Chlorine Project.
Second.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Whereas the village has been working to get into compliance with the Department of Health at the water treatment plant and provide the community with healthy drinking water, and whereas Labella Inc. engineered the chlorination project and set up the scope in preparation for the bidding process, and whereas bids were due on September 10th, 2025, and H&K Services provided a quote in the amount of $384,300, now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Fredonia Board of Trustees hereby approves H&K Services to perform the water treatment plant chlorine system replacement project in the amount of $384,300,000.
Second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye. Whereas the village charter requires the village clerk to reside within the Village of Fredonia, and whereas the village board is authorized to waive the requirement for 270 days, and whereas the board has received limited applications for the clerk position within the village, therefore be it resolved, the board approves the waiver of the village clerk residing within the village limits for a 270-day period.
Second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Be it resolved that pursuant to Section 5520 of Village Law, the following budget transfers are hereby approved. $18,000 from F8320.41 water supplies purchase to H8330.2 water intake platform replacement.
Second.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
I also want to point out that is another expense going into our current water treatment plant.
Whereas the village requires the replacement of its water intake platform at the water treatment plant, and whereas Bright's mechanical contractor, Tonawanda, New York, has offered a quote in the amount of $17,730 to fabricate and deliver a new carbon steel platform, and whereas this is necessary for the village's purpose, therefore be it resolved, the Village of Fredonia hereby approves Bright's mechanical contractor to fabricate and deliver a carbon steel platform in the amount of $17,730.
Second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Is there anything else? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask a motion to
I make a
End this
motion
meeting?
to end the meeting.
But I'm going to request a very, very brief executive session to discuss an employee matter.
Where?
Right here.
I make a motion that we enter into executive session to discuss Village Hall personnel.
I second.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wanda.
Aye.
Thank you. Next meeting, ladies and gentlemen, the Village Board of Trustees Workshop will take place on Wednesday, October 8th. Believe it or not, it's already October. 9 a.m. in this very room, and the Board of Trustees meeting on Monday, October 13th, 2025 at 6 p.m. the Trustee Room, second floor here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate it. God bless. Have a great, safe week.